Hey guys, what's up? This is Jorge and I'm back, and I'm going to start off by telling you that I have a problem. I have an addiction that I'm coming to terms with, and that addiction is camera gear. So, originally, this video started off as a vlog. Uh, I bought the Sigma 16mm f1.4 for the Sony email, and I'm putting it on my Sony FX30. If you've previously watched, you know that I had purchased this Sony 10 to 20 f4. I love it. It's tiny, but I'm a bokeh lover, and so getting f1.4 was kind of a big deal for me, and so I thought I would try out the Sigma. A lot of people raved about it. I'll give you my first impressions over the first 40 hours that I've had it. Yeah, let's dive in. And so like I mentioned before, I got this lens yesterday morning at overnight shipping from Amazon, and so I was really excited to use it. This was originally supposed to start as a vlog. I had 3 photo shoots yesterday, and so I got really tired by the end of the second one, and vlogging kind of fell by the wayside, so I thought we'd do a little bit more of a sit down, but kind of insert some of the footage with and without audio, so that way you guys can see what it's like to be handheld. And this was on my Sony FX30 with just a little baby Joby Gorilla Pod, and so with that setup, it wasn't too heavy at all. I've even got a top handle, and it held up really well. In my personal taste, it means that I like a really shallow depth of field, so right now I'm shooting at f1.4. I believe I was shooting at f1.4 yesterday. One thing that I'm really impressed with is the autofocus, which you'll kind of see here. This is just a spontaneous test of the autofocus as we're shooting. It's fast. You can see a little bit of the distortion there, but that's to be expected with a lens that's this wide. There's a little bit of focus breathing too. But overall, like, the impressiveness of the autofocus of this lens is actually pretty solid. And so when you're tracking faces or when you're doing sports shoots like I tend to do sometimes, having that quick autofocus that's really dependable is awesome to have on a camera like this, with this small setup where you can just fly in on a gimbal and it'll be trusty and you'll be ready to go in a few seconds. And so when I first got this Sony FX30, because it's a crop sensor Sony, I got the 10 to 20 thinking, like 10 to 20, that'll be great. But 10 sometimes is almost too much, especially for video shooting. It's just incredibly wide. I think 16 millimeters on this lens is kind of a sweet spot, especially at the 1.4, just to have that low light ability, especially I have a lot of dark events to shoot, whether it be sporting events or weddings or quinceañeras, things like that I constantly have to be thinking about. The 1.4 is fantastic, and so feels like a sweet spot for this lens, and it's also less than this Sony lens, and so I think I paid around $400 for the Sigma, and it feels like an amazing value, even if it's not stabilized, even if it's a prime. I'm really liking how this lens is functioning and its size and the value for the money. It's definitely an amazing crop sensor lens. I'd also be eager to try I think it's the Sony 15mm 1.4. I feel like that's probably another great lens. I think that one's about double the price as well, and so I was more tempted to try this one. It was available for overnight. I probably shouldn't be spending money, but if I can find it available for rent, definitely going to try to pick that up and see if I can compare the two. But so far, I'm digging this camera. Again, autofocus, not a problem. Yeah, this is, I'm impressed by it. And so me having other Sigma lenses, I have a 35 1.4. I have a 120 to 300. I have on the still side, I have the 24 to 70 that's stabilized. I also use this for video. It's super reliable, even though this thing's a tank. This thing is not a tank. Um, yeah, and I just love the value that I get from Sigma lenses as I'm using them. And as a photographer, one of my main things that I believed when I had my Canon Rebel T3i and things like that is that you get the most value when you understand your gear in it and you know what you're working with and you learn it. And so, if this is a $300-400 lens on a $2,000 camera body, but you know how to make it work, it's gonna feel like a $6,000, $7,000 camera, um, and that I feel like is when you really start to understand your gear and how it works and how it functions and the things it can do, then you're really getting the most out of the dollars that you're spending. Aside from the camera body, I don't feel like my setup is too crazy. You could probably achieve this with other Sony mirrorless cameras and lenses. I just have a $70 light with a good softbox. I have an $80 shotgun mic that's hooked up to a zoom. $300 lens, $400 lens. The camera body is the exception because it's a little bit pricey, but when you're making the most out of it, you're not really thinking about dollars and cents. And so I think this is a great setup if you like filmmaking and you want to have an option for a wide or a vlogging lens. I think this is going to be great because even as a vlogging lens, I'm not that far away. Like I'm not even an arm length away. Good field of view, shallow depth of field. A lot of like the things that we like as filmmakers and photographers. This lens offers at a reasonable value. One other thing I didn't realize about this lens when I bought it is that the minimum focus distance is pretty close. So, I mean, we're still in focus. I think right about there is when we start to lose focus. And so that's pretty close. I mean, right there, I'm almost touching the lens. So minimum focus distance is great too. I don't think it's considered a macro, but at this 16 millimeter focal range, like you're gonna get a very close focusing image, which is awesome too. And so just to wrap up here with some final thoughts, if I were comparing this Sony 10-20 f4 versus the Sigma, I think I'd probably lean towards the Sigma. It's very clean, autofocus is very fast, it has all the things that I like about it, being lightweight, all those things. It's a 67 millimeter size filtered thread, and so it's compatible with a lot of my other lenses. And if you're comparing these two in the same price and the same focal ranges, I think I'd lean towards the Sigma a little bit, just because it does a ton of things that I like. If you like to zoom, if you like being at an f4 and having most of the stuff in focus, and at that point you're going to have great focus anyway because a lot of your stuff's going to be in focus. This Sony is going to be wonderful for you. If you have $400 to spend on the lens or you're thinking you want a wide, even if you're doing stills, I'd probably still go with the Sigma. Image quality is great. Everything's looking super sharp to me, and I'm just thoroughly impressed. I would love to test Sigma stuff. Sigma, if you're listening, I'm a big fan. Yeah, send me some stuff to review. I'm excited to keep using this lens. I think I'm going to get a lot of use out of it, even for my personal stuff. I'm going to have it on this camera body a lot, it feels like. This is the Sony 10-20 at f4. It feels a little bit darker, even though I pushed this ISO conversion thing up to 800. Still feels very dark. Still kind of a decent blurred out background in the back, but not the same as the Sigma 16 millimeter f1.4. Pretty quick autofocus on this one too. This is the Sony 10-20 f4. I like it, but I love me some of the bokeh from an f1.4. Good lens though. So tiny. This thing weighs almost nothing, it feels like, for being a cinema camera and the lens. But I am liking that Sigma a lot. If you haven't already, please subscribe, like, leave comments. This is still a small channel that's growing. Love bringing camera tech, general tech, Apple stuff. I have a review of the Mac Mini, the new Mac Mini. I have a review of this that I'll also link, just in case you're trying to compare the two. The more you guys support this channel, the more content I'll bring. Just like to think that I'm a regular, everyday working guy with some, good perspectives on gear, and still trying to, catch a bargain when I can. So thank you for watching. See you in the next video.
Okay, so I just scooped up, actually just got delivered to me. This is a Sigma 16mm 1.4 contemporary for Sony, my FX30. So far the autofocus is picking up my eyes. It's not turning off randomly. Kind of want to vlog part of my day with this just to see what it's like. It's pretty light. I'm on just like a little mini Gorilla Pod. Image quality looks great though. I mean, everything's nice and blurry. This is a nice focal range. I feel comfortable. I can scoot it out. I can bring it in. It's still pretty close to my face and still have some headroom. I'm gonna like this, I think. So, just finished shoot number 1 of 3 today. Just doing some headshots for a law firm. Pretty chill. I'm liking this lens. Let's see how it handles. This is at f2 because it's super bright out right now. But I like the autofocusing. Oh yeah, we're in tight. Maybe someday I'll do a tutorial on my one light setup that I use for headshots and stuff. Try to keep it as simple as possible just so we can move around and be flexible and give clients like the most options. But it was cool. Everyone in the group was amazing, and I'm excited to see how these turn out. So now we'll go home, we'll do some recharging before we go out for shoot number 2, which is at a barbecue spot here in El Paso, a notable barbecue spot. And so I'm excited for that. I love shooting food, so let's get it. I mean, so one thing back at home, just in front of the studio light, distortion obviously a little bit crazy at 16 because that's what these lenses do, but man, that shallow depth of field is so nice. I'm digging this. I'm digging this a lot. Also, don't hear the focusing very much, which is awesome. Even I like this lens. It's perfect for vlogging. I'm just still on the Joby, the little mini Gorilla Pod. Kind of psyched to have this lens. Pretty tight. Not as heavy as I thought it would be, but it is. It's a little heavy. But I'm liking it better than my 10 to 20 f4, just because of the low light situations. This thing is doing a great job. Also, I love Sigma lenses, everybody should know that, but I think I'm gonna love carrying this thing around for like daily stuff and YouTube videos. It's solid. So much like everything, the studio and this desk space is super messy, but I just like the way this looks. This 1.4 compared to an f4 at the same focal range, huge difference obviously. This is, I'm also a bokeh whore, and shallow depth of field is my jam. I'm feeling this a lot. Focus on this thing, on this lens is also crazy. This lens is doing work. I like this lens a lot right now. Might just keep it on this hair. Might just keep this on forever. So now heading to shoot number 2 for the day at a barbecue joint that's well known here in El Paso and across Texas. Outfit change a little bit, no more hoodie because it's warm now. Yeah, I'm going to Desert Oak. I'll try to record a little bit in there just to like give you guys some more B-roll from this camera. But yeah, this lens is dope. Colors look great. Everything looks great. Excited to make this my main YouTube setup. Love that I have like extra room to crop in and stuff like that. So loving this 16mm so far.